Hello and welcome to another episode of the New World Comics Podcast. I'm Buck Berlin, owner-operator of this fine establishment. Joined with me this week is Evan Sprinkle.
Hello, hello.
Yay, you're back again.
Yeah, hey, dude, thanks for having me back.
Most definitely. I mean, we had to keep you and Stephanie separated, so.
From our little spat last time.
She's going to stab you. And then me. And then
She was going to run me over. Is what she would do.
Set you on fire. No.
Yeah.
No, she just couldn't make it tonight, but we will definitely have her back next time. So, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome.
Cool. I see you brought some funny books to talk about.
They're funny books. Yeah, I thought we'd talk about trade paperbacks. I really love reading trade paperbacks. You know, when I was younger, I really loved reading each month comic and just, buy it each month and then just eat it up and then just keep looking. But now, I don't know, maybe I'm more patient, maybe I'm more impatient, actually. I wait for it to be in the trade and then I can just sit down and read the whole thing if I want, or I can spread it out. I really enjoy doing it that way. And, I'm not the only one, otherwise I wouldn't.
No, there are quite a few people that, it's called trade waiting. Wait for the trade paperback to come out.
I do that.
From the single issues.
I didn't have a cool name for it, though.
There are pros and cons to it. The cons are there are a lot of people that forget that they're waiting for a thing, so they never finish a series.
Oh.
Or they'll forget where they were on a thing and get fed up with the thing because they bought the wrong one or bought the same one twice and, that kind of stuff. But there are people that buy, like, the entire series all at one time.
Yeah.
And will just... consume it that way.
Yeah, that's usually me.
Yeah. So, and the not so great thing about the way this goes anymore is sometimes the series will stop, end, and restart within a few months of each other, and they'll put out the trade paperback for the newest series before they put out the trade paperback for the end of the last series.
That's really confusing.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're trying to get the new readers on board as quickly as they can. So, say the first couple issues of a thing sold out, they want to be able to get that in the hands of whatever the new readers are, so they can catch up with the trade and then the single issues that follow.
Is it Image that does that a lot? Because I know they deal with a lot with their independent.
Everyone does that a lot now.
Everybody.
Yeah. Image, if anything, is really slow to do that. Image didn't really do that with the restarting and starting series. That's more of a Marvel DC thing.
Oh.
DC has been kind of bad about it lately. Marvel's the worst offender, though.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We've had so many different Suicide Squad or Teen Titans series end and restart and not catch up with each other, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And as a merchant, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you can't control that at all.
Right. And then people are like, wait, this doesn't look like the thing that I was buying or into. Or do I need to finish this last thing?
Yeah.
You were reading that story. And usually I tell everyone, well, if you're questioning that, then why don't I find you something new?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I'm disappointed.
Me, I prefer the single issues, but there are times that, the trade's way easier because sometimes they'll put the crossover issues in whatever order you're needing them to be in. Like the Jonathan Hickman Avengers omnibuses. They put everything in reading order.
Yeah.
As opposed to the trades where you read 6-7 issues at a time, and your mindset is to just go forward with all those series. Or when I was trying to read them coming out, I would read most of the series and then not read New Avengers or get fall behind on Avengers World or something like that, and then. I got kind of frustrated. Why do I even care about the Zebra Twins? Man, X-Nilo was really different at the beginning, and now he's, really cool at the end. What's up with all this? Reading it in the proper order that they're putting it into, then it makes a lot more sense than trying to find the back issues.
Yeah.
That kind of
thing. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Trade paperbacks are, I thought, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, they're never as collectible as single issues, are they?
Typically no, but sometimes things will go out of print and say it has a really low print run or something. There are times that stuff is way more sought after than the single issues.
Singles.
Yeah, like the Marvel omnibuses, like I'm talking about. The George Perez, Kurt Busiek, Volume 1 is worth way more than all of those issues put together, plus any printings of their trades, plus, like, they could send it in gold leaf. It's still not as much as, it gets ridiculous. So, not often do the trades, gain value, but
there's a possibility, is what you're saying.
It has happened.
Okay, that's cool. That's totally cool. Well, the first trade I wanted to talk about was Fear Agent.
Sucks.
Excuse me.
I'm joking. It's wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's totally takes all these ideas from 1950s B movies of aliens invading the Earth and all this, and they do a really good job making it really fun. But it's also a serious story, and that dude's trying to save his family, trying to stay alive, fighting for his life, all these amazing things. What's really wonderfully hilarious about it is the main dude is a Texan. And when the book starts, he's in space and he's making these references to like country stars from like 1999. And I was reading it being like, dude, that's bad writing. And then I kept going and I was like, oh, that's when the aliens invaded. And then all the technology jumped, years and years ahead. And so that's when the human race got thrown into, the galactic universe and all this stuff. And so, and I love the personalities that they put in this, because this, he's fighting for his family, trying to do good things and all this stuff, but they're very Texan, they're very cowboy, and they show the positives and negatives of that. The positives of, man, you'll go face anything. You're half crazy.
Right.
The negatives of that is, whoa, you're not always great in relationships.
Yeah.
And
you're more cavalier than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Fear Agent has, when I bought it, it's got 3 volumes, and oh, dude, I got them all, and I was glad I did, because the story changes and it gets crazy, but crazy cool, crazy sci-fi. There's all these things that they do so well, and you're just totally rooting for the main dude the whole time. Even when he screws up, you're like, oh yeah, man, I relate. It's cool. And I love all the aliens and all the sci-fi stuff. Like, it's done really, really well. Dude, they did a lot of the penciling. Moore. Is that right?
Yeah, Tony Moore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the first volume of Walking Dead, and then he and Kirkman had to have some words about that.
Oh, he didn't do Walking Dead anymore because of disagreements?
No, he didn't do Walking Dead anymore just because he wanted to go do other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they got Charlie Adler to do the rest of the series. That's why the book starts off looking amazing and then looks good for the rest of the series.
Yeah. I really like Moore. I really like his art.
He's phenomenal. He also did the Agent Venom first story arc. He's awesome.
I don't know that one, dude. I didn't see that one.
So Venom went from the drooling tongue flashing dude to they got Flash Thompson in the Venom suit. And, gave the symbiote, the right concoction of drugs. And they were like, hey, you've got a time limit to work with this thing. And then it became, this, gun-toting special agent Venom.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it was good?
It was great.
Okay, because that just sounds bad.
Yeah. No, it was one of those, it was a new take on an old thing. And it was surprisingly cool.
Cool.
Well, because, the Venom symbiote can, camouflage and do all this other stuff. And it can be bulletproof, and it can do... So it was all of these things that should be awesome about the Venom suit without, the psycho ex-girlfriend aspect that...
Yeah, that he is so often,
So, it's surprisingly good.
And it's called Venom Agent?
It's Agent Venom.
Agent Venom.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Most definitely.
That's a suggestion from Buck. All right. My next suggestion is Punk Rock Jesus. I picked this up because Sean Murphy is an artist. I found him in other comic books. He wasn't doing his own stories in other comic books. He was just doing artwork.
Right.
And I enjoy his ink work. It's just so fun. It's so sharp. There's so much movement. It's just he does such a good job with his artwork. And so I picked it up thinking this dude, he wrote it and he illustrated it. And it's black and white. So some people may not dig that, but I really like.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are off put by the black and white comics.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like it's a tonal choice.
Yeah. In my opinion, it totally depends on the comic and it totally depends on the artist's inking. Some artists, if their inking doesn't have as much detail and you add color to it, it just really makes it pop.
Yeah.
This Sean Murphy dude, like, man, I really like it black and white. Like his inking has so much movement in it and action and I can see everything. You know, as color can help. Anyways, he does a good job without color. But I totally picked it up thinking, like I'm a religious person and I totally thought it was going to be, because this often happens in the media, like, hey, you believe in God or believe in something and beyond, you're an idiot. I totally thought that's what the message was going to be.
No.
I read it and it was so cool because the dude has all these characters that have really interesting lives.
Yeah, because it starts off, they're trying to do the premise for a
reality show. Yeah.
Yeah. And they collect DNA, from the Shroud of Turin?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. And
they impregnate a virgin so that then she can now give birth to the new Jesus.
Yeah, and like she's the genetic engineer, so she's trying to figure out all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the first like hiccup was like, twins, or no, it was a girl, or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And so it's just moral problem after moral problem that they then have to tackle. Like, hey, how do we spin this? How do we hide this? How do we do away with this? And it follows the mom like every step of the way, like every hour. She's on camera, so she doesn't have any, rest from anything.
She goes kind of nuts. But all the different characters in it are wonderful because you have characters that are scientific atheists, and you have characters that are really devout Catholics, and then other ones that are,
faux Christians, like you see on TV, like
yes, you have faux Christians, and then you have the zealots, like the modern day Christian zealots in this book, and they're all of them are done so well because it's believable. I'm like, oh, there's atheists I've known like that. Oh my gosh, I've known crazy Christian people like that.
Yeah,
and he throws them all together and they interact, and it's so interesting. It's such an interesting drama, and then there's a violent aspect of it because one of the main characters is a former was it IRA?
IRA.
Yeah. And he looks at his past and deals with his violence, and it's just a really, really good comic for somebody who is not closed-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and for those that are like, oh, what they do to Jesus? Like, no, like, I was saying, right before, just they get, the idea, the character of Jesus, so to speak. It's he means well forever,
Yeah. I thought it would totally be blasphemous, but it was totally just well written.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. So like, people that are like, I don't know about that. Yeah, no, you read it. It'll be great.
It's cool. It's cool. It just made me give even more respect for Sean Murphy. And like, I'm happy the dude is like, he's one of those people that I'm happy that his artwork's getting out there. I'm happy that he's successful.
Yeah.
Because I'm so impressed with it.
And he, landed the deal with DC that, he did the White Knight.
With Batman, right?
With Batman.
Okay.
And that did well enough that DC did the, dude, have your own imprint with us. Have your Sean Murphy verse, so to speak.
Really? So does that mean he starts illustrating all kinds of stuff?
Whatever he wants in his Sean Murphy verse.
Wow.
So he's on the second White Knight volume right now.
Oh, so they're saying he can take some DC characters and make his own stories and
do
stuff.
whatever he wants. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because like the White Knight that he did is Joker ends up becoming sane and then becoming a better Batman.
Yeah, because it turns out Joker is actually a stinking genius and he can do all kinds of crazy things.
And it all sets up that in that iteration, like, Batman's just kind of a bullheaded jerk, and Joker never really did anything bad. Like in that one, he didn't really kill anyone, and he didn't really, harm anything. Like he robbed a place once, and that's kind of it. So, it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, so. There's another one, The White Knight, because I got that in trade also. Yeah, that one is because Sean Murphy, he's awesome. The next one I wanted to talk about it's a lot lighter. It's a lot funner. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yes, which so many people, I recommend this to a lot of people, and they say, "Really, why?" Like because I mean,
they're not pumped when you say that. Is what you're saying? They're like,
you see the movie, you kind of get most of what you need out of it, whereas
they're like, I've heard this story 100 times.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, when I started reading the book, reading the comics, like I didn't realize that the book and the movie were that vastly different. Because I spent most of my life reading comics and not looking too far outside of this. Because I had a vested interest in all of this. So, So like, while reading this, I didn't realize that the Emerald City was emerald because of the glasses they were wearing. Yeah, because it's not all. You're wearing green glasses, therefore everything's.
Yeah. It's so great. I was really pumped about reading in here, and the guy that not authored it. What do you do? Like
adapted.
That's the word. But he said we stayed as close to the book as we possibly could, and you can tell because there's some plot twists and story arcs that you're like, what? That wouldn't fly in a modern day movie. As in, not that there was anything bad, but as in like, it wasn't always just smooth.
Yeah,
you got some tangents.
Yeah. There's some weird transition here.
Yeah, and I read this to my girls when we were little, and it was just so wonderful. Like the artwork is great. It's Scotty Young. The dude has just wild, fun, energetic art, and some of the art, like some of the characters, look a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And I thought that was wonderful for my daughters to be like, instead of everything just being perfect and beautiful and fun.
Yeah, it's not glossed over in the perfect image of MGM's whatever they're.
Yeah. And so that was wonderful.
That's real life. Not everything is perfectly sanded down and smoothed out and brightly colored.
Yeah. And there's actually a whole lot of these adaptations because
they go through the books.
Yeah, because there's Ozma of Oz, and then the oh god, there were so many.
Check out the back of that. I think it's got.
Yeah, it's nuts. Nope, this one didn't have.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the first.
This is one of the first printings, I think. Yeah.
But
you could go forever in the world of Oz because of all the books that were written, and oh gosh, it's so fun. That's another like comics for me. The artists are a huge part of it. Like, so, the artwork's got to be really good and the story has to be really good. And I'm like, that's an amazing comic. You have one or the other that's kind of weak. Anyway, it's just not as amazing.
No, I understand. Since I've been reading so long and I've had to push through some really, really bad art in my time. Because, if you're reading, a standard, Marvel or DC series and they change up an artist...
you get kind of ticked every now and then, especially when like your Hulk looks like this, and then somebody else's. But yeah.
Well, and sometimes you learn to love the art too. Like a lot of people hate Larry Stroman on X Factor, but the amount of times that I've read that, like I've come to just love it. Because you go from
I don't know,
gently
Buck,
and
that sounds like you're saying you learn to love kale, pure. Like,
some people do. Listen, man, I didn't start off liking to just sip whiskey. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So there are such things as an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry Stroman to me is sipping whiskey. It's all right. He's not for everyone, and because he draws kind of funky people, but like when you look at it, there's some beauty behind his artwork.
No.
So
I don't agree.
I'm just saying, not every artist is made for you, and it's because there's so many different types of people that like different things.
That's true.
Yeah, and this way it includes more people in the fun.
That's totally true.
Yeah.
The next one I wanted to talk about was Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, Planet Hulk is amazing. I read lots of Hulk in the 90s. And totally enjoy Hulk, but Planet Hulk, I would say, dude, if you're a Hulk fan at all, pick it up because it's just so exciting.
Well, I loved it just because it dealt with the so the superheroes can't seem to stop Hulk. You'd think that at one point they would have had some sort of contingency to deal with Hulk,
and they do. And they do,
and they finally do. Like they finally got together and thought, all right, so we tried the if you can't beat them, join them. We tried the put him off in his own little area on Earth. We've tried everything.
Yeah.
So they're like, what haven't we tried? Let's find him his own world that he can go,
Hulk himself around.
Yeah, just run free, be crazy, smash things, unsmash things, whatever Hulk wants to do. Yeah. Here is a planet for Hulk's playground.
Yeah. So they trick him and send him into space in a ship.
Yeah.
And he crash lands onto Sakaar.
Yeah. His rocket gets knocked off course, ends on this terrible planet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it's. I love that first scene where he comes out and is like, what are y'all gonna do? I'm the strongest there is.
Yeah.
And then he immediately gets dropped.
Yeah.
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 Because he's because you're so used to like, man, Hulk is unbeatable. He's unstoppable.
Yeah. What he encounters is a planet that's ruled by Roman-like alien people.
Yeah.
And they are tough. And there's multiple different races of alien type people, and some of them look similar, some of them look different, but they have different abilities and different powers. But it's a pretty vicious life. You've got to be tough to get success in this world.
Right.
And it's great how he just
he has to grow as a character, which is not something that you'd think the Hulk would have to do.
I know. Yeah, because he starts getting success because he's raging, and then he's like, wait, maybe I need to pull it back a little bit, and I'm hurting the people around me, but...
Yeah, and it's awesome to see the rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall, because, like, they'll have these successes, there's so many failures in his wake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
the artwork is well done. Like, it's done by multiple different artists, but they all look similar enough that my brain says, okay, I accept that. I like it. And
there are surprises in it, like some of the combatants.
Oh, it's awesome. Yes, yeah. He has to go through like a gladiatorial arena type situation for a while, and then he moves beyond that, later. But yeah, my favorite enemy was the Silver Savage.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. And I flipped it and was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the crazy ramifications from that, because, spoiler alert, Hulk comes back to Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is after Hulk has grown as a character and grown in strength because, well,
yeah,
he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. He then finds out, it was my old friends who sent me here.
Yeah.
So he comes back for revenge with his new gang that he, built up.
And they're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cool.
That's where, like, Korg and Meek came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he in World War Hulk, he comes down and just, finds anyone who's wronged him and oh man,
it just gets crazy.
Just beats the hell out of everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of John Romito Jr. artwork. I have seen him on a show, and he seems like a really great guy.
I've seen him talk to Mark Bagley, and then he sounds like a not great guy.
Really, I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, there's a video where. Like Mark, because the two of them have drawn like the most Spider-Man comics ever.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because they're both super quick artists. Mark Bagley is, a competent story. Like, he's one of my all-time favorites, just because he's a competent storyteller that you know what you're going to get through and through and through and through. Whereas with John Romita Jr., you can tell he's, rushing these things out at the chisel tip Sharpie as quick as he can.
Yeah. It drives me nuts.
So
it makes me hate his stuff.
Someone was saying something. I don't know who started what, but then things were said about each other's wives, and then like,
it got
dirty.
So there was an insult or a comment or criticism on the artwork at first, and then it escalated.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, like
wow.
Yeah, it got awful.
That's terrible.
It's one of those like, it looked like John Romita Jr. started or like made it escalate.
Yeah.
So
like, dude, chill. Yeah.
Right. And he ended up leaving or walking off or whatever. It's it got nuts. But
well, I hate his art, so
well,
it's okay, and he can be a jerk.
It
makes me feel better about my opinion.
There's some of his stuff that like I find is just gorgeous, but more often than not, it's just rushed and terrible. It's bad storytelling on a lot of it, but every now and then he has like a visceral, like
something
story
great comes out. Is
like,
what you're saying?
Like I really loved his Captain America run, where he's in Dimension Z. That's fantastic. His Iron Man stuff in the late '80s, early '90s is awesome. His run on Thor is my favorite run on Thor. Like, oh my god, like end all be all run on Thor. I love it. His runs on Spider-Man is the only nice looking part of any of it.
Oh, everything else is just
and almost
I got paid.
Yeah, almost any time that he uses snow.
Yeah,
it looks great because he's using negative space, or like
yeah.
He
leaves a lot of blank.
Yeah, but the parts that he's choosing really like hammers home the depth and image and that kind of stuff. And then there's the one picture of like Spider-Man in the rain that like looks awesome. You can't deny that's a cool image.
Yeah,
but his work as a whole, like I can't read his New 52 Superman stuff.
See, what I don't get is to me, he's pretty famous. I mean, because I've heard his name a lot. Well, and I'm almost like, why? There are some people that are much better that they're in the industry. They just, for some reason, are not as famous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, his dad was like the Spider-Man artist for a really long time.
So it's some of his genetics.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
yeah, which makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat that his dad was a Spider-Man artist for a long time, and then so was he. Then
that is cool.
Yeah. But like I say, there's pros and cons about all of it. But his big thing is that he can always get that artwork done on time. Like he's one of the fastest comic artists.
Yeah,
and I mean. There are definitely some shortcuts, but sometimes they really work. Like some of his Daredevil stuff looks awesome. There was speaking of like John Romita Jr., like one of my all-time favorite things that I had forgot about until a couple years ago, and like we just, while sorting comics, it just keeps coming up. There's this crossover with Punisher, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider, which is the most like '90s thing in the world.
I know. That's why I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Let's see. I did have it like behind. Yeah. So. Actually, down right there to the bottom right. Over. Just gonna.
I see.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, this one right here is like one of my all-time be all end all crossovers because it's just so freaking crazy.
Dude, the back says. 3 of Marvel's most hardcore heroes take on the Blackheart, demonic son of Mephisto. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Totally cool.
It's so metal, it hurts.
Yeah, it's so metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's good, dude.
Look at, go back a couple pages.
I don't have any gripes there.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest splash pages he's ever done, which now we need to mark for Drew. Well, here we'll...
Yeah. Well, that's cool. But back to Planet Hulk.
Yeah, sorry.
They used Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok, the movie.
Yes, which, they talked about trying to get Hulk some more screen time because of the weird thing going on with, like, Universal with the distribution rights, all that.
That story thing had something to do with...
Yeah,
character rights.
Yeah, this way you get more like Hulk movie without having a Hulk movie.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That's disappointing to me.
Yeah, but it was really cool that we got to see this and that it got referenced and all this. Yeah. But it kind of stinks that's all we have of Planet Hulk.
Yeah, because like people are because in Thor Ragnarok there were Meek and Korg and they're the gladiatorial arena. There were different aspects from Planet Hulk that they used in that movie, but not very much.
Yeah.
And Meek and Korg were much cooler in the Planet Hulk. Like they were more intelligent, more interesting, more fleshed out.
Yeah, I mean, not to
yeah.
say that I don't love Korg as that character.
Oh yeah, they're fun. They're fun.
Yeah, because Taika Waititi is not the same character as Korg from the comics. Like
no,
those are two different characters that are just called Korg.
Yeah,
yeah. But as far as the story that they were telling, it was perfect.
Yeah, it worked. That movie was really fun and really great.
Yeah,
I just almost wish they just use different names.
Yeah,
because I'm like, that's not the story from Planet Hulk. But
right, I mean, it's kind of the same argument that I have with like changing up Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, because Drax is just a watered down Hulk.
Oh god,
who has a
really
mat
dumb.
on for Thanos.
Yeah,
whereas in the movie, he's the guy that doesn't get
humor and jokes and stuff. Yeah.
So they had to change that up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because when you read a lot of these comics, sometimes it is, hey, here's your archetypal character that helps flesh out the team for whatever story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
And going back even further to like the 60s, sometimes even the 70s comics, where Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, name any male hero, they're the same character.
Oh, okay.
Like, just different power set, different what
Yeah.
For the most part, they're like, well,
I have I get what you're saying, and it makes sense to me to change it when it's a weak character, but when it's a strong character already in the story,
right?
It drives me nuts. I'm like Hollywood knows better than all these readers and all these writers,
Right?
But that drives me nuts. But let's move on to the next one, Buck.
Cool.
Weird World.
Oh my God!
This Buck suggested this to me because I was coming in all the time and I was always reading Conan and all this stuff, and I was asking, anyways, I was saying something about, there's stuff I like. I'm like, I guess I just like naked barbarians.
And I said, boy, do I have one for you.
Yep.
So this started off as my least ordered comic out of the whole Secret Wars spinoff books because I hate Archon. Archon is this like really terrible half-naked barbarian type ruler of his own land, and he talks about how awesome he is, and he throws these lightning bolts, and eventually marries like Thundra, and he how do the French say, sucks. It's terrible. I hate him. Yeah, he's the worst. And then they throw him in Weird World, which before this Weird World was like the Hobbit version of Marvel. Like they had like hobbits and stuff running around. But in this, they reimagine everything as like, stuff is nuts.
It's
Here's
crazy.
the aquatic apes of Apelantis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know me, I love Man-Thing. Like, he's one of my absolute favorite characters.
And there's multiple Man-Things in this thing.
Yeah. So, Archon's running from and teaming up with at the same time Man-Thing, because Man-Thing's after him, but he's using Man-Thing to like take some of the like bad guys out. Morgan Le Fay's out to get him. And like Archon is trying to map out Weird World the whole time, and it drives him crazy because Weird World keeps changing. And
he's trying to map it out because he's lost.
Yeah,
dude's lost. He's trying to get home.
Yeah, he just wants to get home to his kingdom.
That's a great premise.
Yeah,
and there's even parts in this story where like he breaks down.
Yeah,
and there's other characters that break down. Like, because at first you think, okay, he's a barbarian Superman. Nothing hurts him. And he really has grief.
Yeah,
and he gets lonely, and then oh my gosh, these plants are trying to eat me alive. I got to do something about it.
Yeah, and then like he befriends Warbow, and from like the Crystar comics / toy series, and
I didn't know what the heck that was. I just got introduced to him in this.
Yeah,
and he's cool and weird.
Yeah, well, which I mean, it looks like Jason Aaron took a whole bunch of stuff from the '80s, shook it up, and just.
And he made it fit it out together and made it really fun.
Yeah, like I'll just spoil stuff as we go, just a little bit. Like when Warbow shows up and gets this big bag full of rocks, Archon's like, "What is that?" He says, "It's my king."
Yeah, and you're like, he's crazy.
You're like, this guy's nuts. Yeah. And then that leads to like Archon's first breakdown. He's like, this guy's my best friend right now. I hate him. He's leading, like, he lied to me, I think.
Yeah.
And then,
it's so fun and hilarious.
Just so good. And then like as they're building everything together and getting like stuff going, like things keep just going wrong for them and then going weirdly right for them, and it's just so freaking cool.
And the artwork,
Mike Del Mundo.
Del Mundo, dude, he rocked it. Like,
yeah,
it looks like it is digital painting, and I mean painting. Like, the dude looks like he put a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's just beautiful. And that's one thing I like about really good art in comics. Like, it makes it rereadable. You know, like I read a novel, like I read a lot of stuff, and rarely do I reread them. You know, comic books, man, good comic, I look over and over and over.
Yeah.
I just, man. Anyways, it's
and
amazing.
that image there that's on the back cover.
Yeah.
That's absolutely one of my favorite pieces of art that he's done. Just because it's so perfectly suggestive that man, things after you, but you're still.
And you wouldn't get it if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's some inside subtlety there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
It's just so perfect. And Mike Del Mundo has gone on to he was on Thor. For the Jason Aaron series, and he's been put on a whole bunch of other stuff. There is a Weird World series after this one. It's not written by Jason Aaron, and it's terrible. I've never been so excited and let down by a comic series in my life. And then the Black Knight series came out soon after that one. And
which is written by Jason Aaron? Or
it was written by Larry Hama, I think.
Yeah.
Who did like G.I. Joe and Wolverine way back when, and it's oh my god, Larry Hama's doing stuff again?
Oh.
Let's do this. This is amazing. And I read it, and they took Dane Whitman and threw him into Weird World. And he's like, oh, sword and sorcery stuff? Let's do this. I'm good. Right? So then he goes kind of crazy like doing this, right? And then the Avengers show up to like, dude, you're not okay. You need to come with us. And he's like, I got a world here, man. I'm doing all right. Let's do this. And things don't go well for him. He alienates himself from the Avengers, and then the series gets canceled because no one read it. I'm guessing because the Weird World series beforehand failed, and like I'm one of 5 people in the world that's like, Black Knight, sign me up. I love Dane Whitman.
And that's the plot twist.
Yeah.
It got canceled.
Well, but there's one trade, and it's awesome. It's with Black Knight showing up in the Eternals movie. I'm certain that it's going to get reprinted. I mean, now I'm going to look like the hipster guy that's like, I told you so, dude.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Black Knight's super awesome.
Yeah, totally. That's almost nerd pride, you know. Like, I knew.
Well, but I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that's gone on. Is who asked me that thing was cool? Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, like for years I was like, everyone needs to be reading this book. It's the best.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, a movie got made, and now everyone's like, "Ooh, Rocket and Groot." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
I know. You're as nerdy as me.
Well, because when we bought our house, I was like, "All right, dearest, most beautiful wife, we have to name our trees." How do you name a tree? I was like, "We're going to call the one in the front Groot." And she's like, "What the hell's a Groot?"
I wonder if she was thinking it was some like plant reference or some, she was like in real life.
Well, she knows. She knew.
Well. She knew. Never mind.
She said, "All right, what's Groot?"
Yeah, she had to find out.
What's it from?
Yeah,
it was like Guardians of the Galaxy. You see these space people. His team of superheroes in space, and like there's a talking tree. He's from Planet X, and he's the ruler of his people, but he's not. And then, all he can say is, "I am Groot." She's like, "Really? That's all he says?"
Yeah, dude. When you describe it, you're like, "No, that's not cool." Well, did she read the comics before the movie came out because of you?
She read some of them.
And then did she like them after the movie and all that?
Yeah. She
it was
got
well done.
But like that's another one of those instances that I realized, like early on in Buck's dating life, when I would talk comics, there are certain things you don't just start with. Like you never lead with, so Doctor Strange, master of the mystic arts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No one wants to be like, "Ooh, tell me more.
Tell me more, you occult follower."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what,
All right, well, how deep does this river run?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, the next trade, I wanted to go way back, actually.
Yeah, which, man, I haven't read that since it came out. Like, this is before I owned the store, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think this goes back that far.
North 40. It is, excuse me, it was my first introduction to Fiona Staples, actually.
Yeah.
And I love her artwork. There is, like, her artwork is not messy. It's not all busy and crazy like some of the other artists that I really enjoy. She just has some elegance about her lines. You know, like, she doesn't use just insane amounts of lines, but when she uses them right. She suggests form through them, and oh god, her stuff is just so beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's way more impressive than the artists that, not to take away from the ones that do, but add a ton of line work. Though there is a lot of precision in some of the line work, but some artists just use it as a crutch, and
they're just covering up stuff they don't want to see or they can't draw. Yeah.
Well, and some of the lines are like, "This is rounded. Look at what I'm drawing here.
It's heavy-handed."
God.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not calling out anyone in the Extreme Comics staple, but man, why would I do that? No one under the Liefeld branch would ever consider throwing way more.
Yeah, I wasn't following. Yeah.
I'm saying, look at your early images.
I know.
That's some of the shortcomings of them.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm not necessarily dogging on that style. I'm dogging on the validity of it. Not validity. That's terrible. The
prevalence.
Yeah, prevalence of their set. Like, it just becomes the instead of learning how to make that form and using that as your style, you're stealing someone else's style and just adding more lines and stuff to it, kind of thing. Whereas, like, I'm pretty sure that Jim Lee and Liefeld and all them, like, started with all that, and then everyone saw that and were like, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, going back to
North 40 is wonderful. It is a horror comic book, which is I'm really not into much horror.
Yeah.
But this is so interesting. It's just like a small Texas town, and like, there's some, not the cliches, but yeah, they took some cliches and made them
some
good. Tropes. There you go.
Yeah.
Because there is an occult people, and they raise this evil thing up from the darkness inside, and it pretty much infests this entire town, and different people get powers.
Get different stuff.
Yeah, they get different stuff.
Like, there's zombies and, like, aliens and
and octopus
monsters and
dudes. Yeah, and so you get all these monsters, but there's also, like, one dude who was dabbling in, like, good magic, and he made some, like, heroes, almost like on accident.
Yeah.
So there's some people that have good superpowers, and they're good people, and so you have the conflict in that and the fighting in that. And what's wonderful is the characters. They're just so very Southern. It's really fun. I mean, like, they're tough. Some of the characters they show in here are like,
bless their hearts.
Yeah, I'll bless her heart. Yeah, totally. So I really enjoyed the writing aspect of it. Is the characters were so cool. What was really disappointing is, the trade ends and you can tell that the story is supposed to keep going. Like, it's not a cliffhanger, but it's like, okay, we wrapped it up, but we have some other characters going out, and they're going to bring back bad stuff, and then, they didn't keep going on. Like, it wasn't. I think it stopped being printed.
Yeah,
I think you had said so. But North 40 is really cool. Man, if you love Fiona Staples, that's something that because a lot of people read Saga.
Yeah,
they may not know about this because she's great.
Right, and looking at it, her style hasn't necessarily changed much. Like, it's been pretty consistent through and through. The coloring and all that is really what changed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What else you got?
Mad Max. Oh, Mad Max Fury Road came out, dude. I was like as excited as I was when I was like 13 or something. Like, I grew up watching Mad Max movies that were on television, and we recorded them off television.
Oh, so you got the censored, didn't you?
So, like, yeah. Which was fine, because I look back, I'm like, dude, I was young, and I rented them later and then bought them later, and, like, there is some, there totally are, and there's some well-done stuff in there that's like, oh, that's horrible, and heavy.
And then there's some silly stuff like one of my workers was not a short guy, but not the tallest of people. But he loved to jump on the backs of the tallest, biggest people he could, and be like, "He's got the mind of a child. Who rules Bartertown?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All those poor big guys.
Yeah.
They were like, "I'm not Blaster."
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So when Mad Max Fury Road came out, I was really excited. I was worried that I was going to be disappointed because it's been a long time.
Well, I mean, as these things are to do, like look at the RoboCop remake, look at the
I totally even forgot about that one.
Oh yeah, man! Like there's so many of these.
They remade Total Recall. I remember.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? The one from the '80s still is fun and exciting.
Yeah.
It didn't even need anyway.
Yeah. Just re-release those.
Yeah. So when Mad Max came out, I watched it. I was blown away. I mean, I went to it 3 times in the theater, which is a lot for me. Like that's me going to movies a lot. And so this trade came out. The Mad Max Fury Road, the prequels, like they were just stories that were woven into right before Fury Road.
Yeah.
I totally bought it thinking this is just a cash grab.
Yeah.
I'm just a sucker.
Which, I mean, typically these things can be.
We've seen it before.
Yeah, we've seen it often. Like, look at the Man of Steel, or no, not the Man of Steel, the Return of Superman prequel comics.
Yeah.
Those are hot garbage.
Yeah.
The Green Lantern movie prequel comics. Also, hot garbage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I expected this to be garbage, but I was like, I love Mad Max. I will spend my money on it. And it's really great stories. It's kind of like if you take it's like a book with a bunch of short stories in
It's
it.
like the animatrix. Like it's the what's the word for it? The
backstory.
anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows the history of there's different things. The history of how Immortan Joe gets into power. It shows a story with Furiosa. It shows a story with Mad Max where he hasn't even encountered the people that are in the Fury Road movie.
Yeah.
And they're all really well done. Like I really expected it to just be just regurgitated from the old movies.
Yeah.
But it's the same world. Oh, really, really well done. And I was reading up online and watching videos and stuff about all the Mad Max stuff. A whole lot of these stories that were in here, they were backstories that George Miller and his people wrote before they wrote the Fury Road movie.
Yeah.
Or as they're running, they were like, okay, we need all these backstories for all these characters, knowing they would never put them on film.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that is so cool. So it made it feel more authentic.
Yeah. These came out of the film Bible that,
Yeah, that Miller and his people wrote.
Yeah.
So it was like, this is like canon, from George Miller. And they're so fun. So, if you're a Mad Max fan at all, the artwork is good. Like, there's different varying styles.
Yeah, it's really fun that, anytime ye old Mad Max shows up, he either looks like Mel Gibson or Tom Hardy, or sometimes both.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, well, okay, he's a white dude that's tough. That's all you need.
Widen the nose, sharpen the, move
the
eyebrows up, down, fix his brow. How about that jawline? Is it wider, pointy? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, it goes up and down.
Yeah.
But, God, they're fun. So, Mad Max trade paperback, I mean, I think it's just called Mad Max Fury Road trade.
Yeah, good luck finding it. But
oh, really? Not in print?
Yeah, but you can find some of the single issues around, and honestly, it's not a thing that you need to have multiple issues of. Like, you can pick up an issue and be good.
Yeah, because the whole story's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is totally cool.
All right, you got one more, it looks like.
One more?
Yeah.
Oh, then let's do
Extremity.
Extremity.
Yeah, now this is one that I haven't read.
Which I was really surprised, because I just thought, man, Buck always knows everything about everything.
And I've said it before. I don't know everything about it. I know a lot. I know a little about a lot.
Yeah.
I
picked up Extremity just because I really enjoyed how it looked, and it's sci-fi, but its whole premise is it throws you into, you could say, a post-apocalyptic world in the future, but there's all these tribes of people that are living on floating islands because of technology has raised different parts of the land up from the ground, because the Earth's surface is pretty much almost ruined because of all the wars that have happened. So it's a really exciting premise. And all these tribes of people end up start fighting each other, because that's human nature. And it's exciting sci-fi.
Yes.
But they're using, sometimes they're using dated technology. Like their technology is a mishmash because the people from the past had much, much better technology than they do now. So they're always discovering old technology that's amazing. And it follows this girl, and her father's the head chief dude, and it follows the head chief dude and his children, a daughter and a son. Okay. And the characters are great. Like the head chief dude has to be strong and tough, but he tries to be loving and fair. His daughter, she's an artist, and the son, he's an amazing with technology. And what really sparks the conflict is one of the rival tribes, they defeat the Rota, is what their tribe is called, but they punish them. And one way they punish them is they try to hurt them emotionally.
Yeah.
So they cut off the artist girl's arm that, she draws with.
Oh my God.
And so the whole story, she is just dealing with the turmoil and pain of losing this outlet of creativity.
Yeah.
Which was so great because they did it really well. Like in this environment, they really valued her drawings and all her art and stuff like that. Yeah. Although they're really tough people because, they all have to be, because it's a warrior society.
Yeah.
And so she just gets tougher and tougher and more warlike. Where his brother, he almost turns more into a pacifist, but he's still really amazing with machines, which was just such a great, to me, it was a little bit different, because usually stereotypically guys are more aggressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you lived enough life, you've been like, I've met some really, really tough, really little chicks that I'm terrified of, So this chick got much, much tougher because she was so hurt. But it has 2 volumes, first, volume 1, volume 2.
Yeah.
And so it's not really long, which is really great. And it has a really cool message. All these characters interact and fight and love and hurt. And it has a heavy anti-war theme, which is funny in the duality of my entertainment.
Yes.
I enjoy watching them fight, but, the whole message is war is evil and terrible. And I'm like, oh, I know, but, let's watch you try to hack each other up. But Extremity, man, that is really, really good comic in all kinds of levels.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, I think that's all that we have time for this week. We'll definitely have to have you back because there's, others that we didn't get to and, well, countless others that we can. Evan, thank you so much.
Thanks, bro. This is always super fun, dude.
Well, thanks. I agree.
Cool.
And I hope you all do too. And if you don't, I'll give you your money back for this episode. Just this one. Okay, well, we'll call it a day. Thank you to Drew Stone for running things. Everyone make fun of Stephanie for not being here tonight. Well, I don't know. She won't hear about it for a couple weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see you all next time. Thanks.